under the matter of Foltz versus Foltz. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
You have brothers and sisters?
I have a younger sister.
How old is she?
She's 26.
And how long ago did your parents divorce?
I was about 3 or 4 years old.
Mr. Foltz, this is your daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint is that you gave your daughter $3,000 for her wedding.
Yes, ma'am.
And because of circumstances, you decided not to go to the wedding, and you want that money back.
Yes, ma'am.
And your daughter said that this $3,000 was an unconditional gift, and she's already spent it on deposits, etc., for the wedding. When is the wedding scheduled?
May of next year.
Now, how many children do you have, Mr. Foltz?
2 children, 2 stepchildren.
And how long have you been married to your second wife?
15 years.
And how old are those children?
21.
21
25.
and 25.
Okay. So let's get down to it. You called your dad.
Mm-hmm.
You told him you were planning a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
You asked him for some help.
I actually didn't ask him for help. He said to me that he felt it was only fair that he pay 50% and that my mother pay 50%.
Well, that was very nice of him. So you had a reasonable relationship with him if he said that to you, at least now?
Up until, yeah, until recently, yes.
I want to ask your mother some questions, okay?
Come on up, Mom.
What's your last name?
Bean.
Your daughter told you initially, after she had spoken to her father, and her father agreed to contribute to the wedding, that it was her intention of having both of you walk her down the aisle?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were not happy with that?
It was not I was okay with it. I was fine with it. I was just worried that his animosity may create some problems.
Did you convey that to your daughter?
I already knew that.
Just a minute. That's not what I asked.
Yes, I did.
I'm asking you these questions, Jennifer, because, you know, if you've been around the block as long as I have, and as many times, nothing is new under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting the following picture. When you spoke to your father, and he said to you, I really want to pay for half the wedding, and you told him that it was your intention to have your 2 parents walk you down the aisle,
Mm-hmm.
he was pleased about that.
No, he wasn't.
Well, he says he was.
He wasn't.
Well, you don't know that because you weren't on the phone with him. But then later you told him that it was your intention only to have your mother walk you down the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's then that he became angry.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I want my money back. I'm not going to the wedding under those circumstances.
Can she tell you what happened after that?
Sure.
Tell her what happened after that. The planning.
Yeah, as my wedding planning progressed, my dad just kept making demands on me as far as he wanted his own table, he wanted it to be up front, he wanted to invite certain people, and he was just putting extra stress on me that I was already going through with the wedding.
Okay. Well, how many people were you planning on having at the wedding?
80, 100.
Well, then, wouldn't it be normal for him to have his own table?
I think he was under the impression that there would be my parents having their own table and my fiance's parents having their own table, and he wanted to make sure he wouldn't be sitting with my mother.
So, what's wrong with that?
There's a lot wrong with that.
No, there isn't. Jennifer. There's not a lot wrong with that. If you had 2 parents who really got along beautifully with each other and they had this lovely relationship that had developed over the years despite the fact that they were not together, then there wouldn't have been anything untoward about them sharing a table. But if you knew that they did not enjoy that kind of relationship, then you should have been smart enough to say, you have your table with your family. Of course, Dad.
Yeah, I did say that.
If you have your table with your family, and Mom will have her table with her family, or maybe Mom will sit with, what's the boyfriend's name?
Doug.
Mom is going to sit with Doug's family, and you could sit with your family. 80 people. You're not going to all sit at one table. So, I've just taken care of that problem. Now, what's the second problem that he raised?
He wanted to invite certain guests, and I wanted to have a smaller wedding. I didn't want strangers
Who did he
at
want?
my wedding.
Who did
Some close friends of his.
How many?
I think there were 2 of them.
That's reasonable, Jennifer.
Right, but if he wasn't even really involved in my life, why would he want to share that with other people?
Jennifer, you were willing to take his money, weren't you?
He offered
Just
it
a
to
second.
me.
You were willing to take his money,
Yes,
weren't you?
I was.
If you're willing to take his money, and if you said to him, and I want you and Mom to walk me down the aisle, and then You say, I changed my mind because he was making, according to you, unreasonable demands. I'm telling you, you're out of line. And I really wasn't prepared to go that way.
Listen, can I say something now?
Sure, you sure can.
I did not change my mind because I changed my mind because I'd always wanted it just to be my mom. It was my way of honoring my mom for raising me. I didn't do it to punish my dad. I didn't do it for anything other than to honor my mother. That's the only reason I made that decision.
Jennifer, my dear, then you shouldn't have told your father at the beginning, Dad, I want you and Mom to walk me down the aisle. You should not have told him that. Because what you're telling me now is, well, I told him that, but then he made these demands on me, which is what you said a moment ago.
It is what I said a moment ago.
Oh, yeah, he made these demands on me, which I now tell you, as a third party, totally unrelated to you, were totally appropriate requests from a person who really knows. Because although my husband and I have made many weddings, we have a mixed family. Mm-hmm. So I understand what you're talking about. You're wrong.
Okay.
You're wrong, and you did the wrong thing.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He said, I'm not
please.
looking forward to walking you down the aisle with your mother. And I said, why? And he goes, because we know how that turned out last time. And I said, Dad, you're not marrying my mother, you're giving me away.
And later today,
I never even knew that we were getting some kind of tax credit check.
I had called Kevin, asked him about it.
And what did he say?
How does he know that I didn't forge his signature?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Arthur Foltz says his daughter Jennifer Foltz owes for money given towards her wedding. Arthur says Jennifer doesn't want him to walk her down the aisle.
Those two things that your father asked to have is a separate table, separate from your mother, and to invite two friends.
He also wanted his own limo. No.
Shh, just a second. Well, tell me about that.
He asked me if I was going to have a limo at the wedding, and I said, no, I don't need one. I'm just going to drive myself to the place, get ready there. Later on that evening, we got together for dinner, my father and I, and he said that he was going to have a limo for him and his friends.
So? He didn't ask you to pay for it, did he?
No, he didn't ask me to pay for it.
So?
But I just thought that was a little, odd. It's my wedding, but he wants to show up in the limo.
Who cares? Who cares if he comes in a bus? Who cares if he comes in a long bus, a short bus? It doesn't make any difference, Jennifer. You're picking on him. You're picking on him, honey. Life's too short.
It just bothers me that I didn't have much of a relationship with him when I was a child, and now he's trying to overtake the wedding and be a bigger part of the wedding than I feel he should be.
Jennifer, you're being a big baby.
I'm not being a big baby.
Yeah, you're being a big baby. And if you have bad feelings about your dad because he wasn't there for you when you were growing up, lots of children of divorce feel that way about their parents, especially when their parents remarry and have second family, right? That they're involved with, that live with them. Their kids feel as if I didn't have the benefit of really a full-time or even a part-time great parent. It's never too late.
I don't feel as if it's too late.
Well, you shouldn't feel as if it's too late. And it's a shame if your father doesn't go to the wedding. It's a shame if you have a wedding that doesn't include your father and his wife and your mother. Are you remarried?
No.
And whoever she wants to bring, if she wants to bring anybody, and everybody else who's part of your life. It's a shame that you don't have that moment. You will, listen to me, you will always regret it. Because, you know why, Jennifer? You'll always look at that book of pictures, and there'll be a bad feeling that he wasn't there.
You know what, though? When I told him that I wanted just my mom to walk him down the aisle, he said to me that I want nothing to do with your wedding. He took himself out of the wedding. I can understand he's hurt. I'm sure he's hurt. But if he doesn't go to my wedding, it's on his terms, not mine.
No, Jennifer, you're wrong. You're being young. You're being young. I disagree with him if what he chooses to do is to not go to the wedding. But I'm telling you, you're not a baby. You're a big girl.
I am a big girl.
And your mother should be a big person. And your mother should say, usually, if one parent walks a child down the aisle, it's usually their father, not their mother, unless their father's dead. And in this case, if you want to be a big person, and you want to be a big person, you say, for that 30 seconds that it takes to walk down the aisle, let's walk our daughter, our firstborn, down the aisle together and give her away, and then there'll be a picture of her family at her wedding. Because, you know, what can happen is 10 years from now, when you and Doug have 2 kids, and you and your father have hopefully reconciled, your children will say to you, "Where's Poppy's picture at your wedding?" And if you have not reconciled, then what you're doing is you're depriving your children of the widest possible community of love and affection.
I wouldn't be the one that would deprive them of that, though. He would be the one that would not make the effort.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Arthur Foltz says his daughter Jennifer Foltz owes for money given towards her wedding. Arthur says Jennifer doesn't want him to walk her down the aisle.
Jennifer, you hurt him.
I know.
You
I
hurt him.
understand that.
You hurt him. He's supposed to be bigger than that. Your mother is supposed to be bigger than that.
I didn't do a thing.
Well, you did, Miss Bean.
Yeah, exactly.
You did, because you said to your daughter, and you acknowledged that you said to your daughter, "I hope he can get over certain things, and I hope he's not going to be hostile." And
In response to his hostility when
What?
she told him that we were going to do it together.
Madam, I'm talking about before you got there. Before you got to the point where she said, "I changed my mind, Dad. Only Mom is walking me down the aisle." Then he got hostile.
He was
Fine.
hostile before I changed my
He
mind.
was hostile from the beginning.
He said, "I'm
Oh,
not looking
please.
forward to walking you down the aisle with your mother." And I said, "Why?" And he goes, "Because we know how that turned out last time." And I said, "Dad, you're not marrying my mother. You're giving me away."
Is that true, sir?
No, ma'am.
I mean, I don't understand how that could be true if he said to you, "I want to pay for half the wedding." In the same conversation, when he said to you, "I want to pay for half the wedding," and you're telling me now that his conversation was hostile?
Yes.
I don't believe you. Listen, Mr. Foltz, I can see I'm not getting anywhere. I've made my best effort, sir. You gave your daughter $3,000 for the wedding. It was a no-strings gift. I hope you go to the wedding. And Jennifer, I think if you want to grow up to be a big person and your mother wants to be the loving mother that she is, you will decide that it's the right thing that both your parents walk you down the aisle. You still have plenty of time to do that and to make up so that you don't end up looking at that wedding album 20 years from now and saying it was really a sad day. Mr. Foltz,
Your Honor.
say nothing. Say nothing. You made your daughter a $3,000 contribution towards her wedding. I hope she does the right thing with it. That's
I do
all.
have things
Case
to say,
over.
Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think we're still both very hurt and angry, and I think that neither one of us really wants to take the step towards mending our relationship.
25 years ago, I tried to make amends to my ex-husband for the trouble that I caused in our divorce.
Her statement that I didn't raise her, and that's, you know, it's very hurtful to me.
25 years is a long time to hold a grudge. But I don't want to see anything between him and my daughter get worse and divide them forever.
My heart tells me that I love her, but I just don't think it's being reciprocated.
You know, my wedding's supposed to be a happy time, and it's turning out to be not quite so happy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Martin versus Martin. Step forward.
26-year-old insurance sales assistant Karen Martin is suing her ex-husband, home improvement salesman Kevin Martin, for stealing her share of a tax refund. Karen claims Kevin forged her signature on the check.
Miss Martin, the defendant is your former husband. It is your claim that there was a government refund check in the amount of $400 that was issued to both of you. It is your claim that Mr. Martin forged your signature to that check, cashed that check, and you want your $200.
Yes, that is correct.
Mr. Martin says there was no check that he received. He did not forge your name to any check, and he, quite frankly, doesn't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
So let us assume for a moment that a refund check was sent to Mr. and Mrs. Martin. So your obligation now, Miss Martin, is to establish that he forged your name to that check.
Okay.
I'm waiting for you.
Okay, I do have a copy of the check where it's signed by him, and that is not my signature.
Okay.
I do have other...
Okay, let me see it.
Okay.
Mr. Martin, the Family Service Center, you familiar with that institution?
Yes, I am.
Tell me about that institution, sir.
It's a credit union that we had, as we were married, had an account there.
Are you trying to tell... clearly this check was sent to the two of you, and clearly it was endorsed by two people.
I never
And-
knew anything about the check. I never even knew that we were getting some kind of tax credit check.
How did you find out about the check, Miss Martin?
My cousin had received hers, and she had asked me if I got anything on it, and
These were the checks that were $400 that were issued to families by President Bush, is that right?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. It was $400 per child, and she had received hers and asked me if I received mine, and I said, no, I didn't. And I had called Kevin, asked him about it.
And what did he say?
He said, he had still said, I have no idea what you're talking about. How do you, actually he said, how do you know that how does he know that I didn't forge his signature?
So, Mr. Martin, what I'm asking you is that the conversation you had? How do I know you didn't forge my signature? Right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the answer. The answer is you weren't calling her to complain that you didn't get your $200, right?
I never knew.
Now listen to me.
Okay.
You weren't calling her, Mr. Martin, to complain that you didn't get your $200.
No.
Because according to you, you didn't know about it. So why would she call you to complain? Listen to me. Call you to complain. If she had forged your signature to the check so that she got the entire $400 and you weren't calling her to complain about it, you get my drift, sir?
I understand what you're saying.
Old story. If it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. And if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So somebody from your credit union cashed this... I'm speaking! Somebody from your credit union cashed this check with a signature that I have compared with the signature on your answer and with a signature that I have compared with the signature on Miss Martin's complaint. And while that's not necessarily dispositive of who forged whose signature, the signature on this check, your signature on this check, is eerily similar to your signature on the answer, while her signature on the check is no way similar to her signature on her complaint. So I put those facts together, and you know what I came up with? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $200. That's all. Step out.
Yes, this is case number 160 on the calendar in the matter of Halsey versus O'Neill Clark.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Halsey, according to your complaint, the defendants assaulted you.
Yes.
At your home.
Yes.
And the defendant says that this was a fight that was precipitated by you. You just got the worst of it. That's your defense.
Yes.
Yes.
Are you chilly?
Yeah.
Are you very chilly?
Yes.
That's because you dressed inappropriately to come to court.
I'm sorry.
So maybe we could find you a sweater or something to put on so you're not so chilly and not so inappropriately clad for court.
I'm very sorry, ma'am.
Good. So you step outside and see if we can find you something to wear. You remember the name Judge Jane Boland?
Oh, yes. Very well.
So let's go see if we can find her a trench coat or something back there, can we?
That's Judge Boland.
See if we can find her something back there, Bert.
I will be right
Very
back.
good. Thank you. I get distracted when I have to watch somebody's navel, except my 3-year-old grandchild.
Okay.
Much more appropriate. Who's Darcy?
I am.
Good. You're Jessica?
Yes.
Miss Halsey, I want you to tell me when this assault took place.
On Friday, January 16th, 2004, it all started at my job. They came in and started harassing me.
The same day?
Yes.
How do you know these two girls?
I was good friends with Darcy for a while, and Jessica went to my school last year. Now she's dating my ex-boyfriend.
Jessica's dating your ex-boyfriend.
Yes.
What happened earlier in the day on the 16th?
I was working, and my cousin Angelica, she came in to visit me at work, and about, I'd say 15 minutes later, they came in with my ex-boyfriend. They just wanted a drink, and they were just starting crap, basically, just asking for the manager, just laughing and making fun of me pretty much.
Oh my God.
I was trying to tell them to leave, so eventually they left, and I went home.
Where were you working at the time?
Taco Bell.
How long had you been working there?
I'd say 2 months.
So the two of them and your ex-boyfriend came in. She's dating your ex-boyfriend. So when you got home, you were really upset. What did you do?
I called his mother and told her to have him not bother me anymore, because I hadn't talked to him or these two girls for about 4 months before all this happened. We just stopped being friends. They said they didn't like me, and I just moved on, and basically they came into my work out of nowhere.
Okay, so you called ex-boyfriend's mother and said, please let him leave you alone.
Yes.
What's the next thing that happened?
I was home for a while, and then I get a phone call from Jessica, just being really immature, saying that they wanted to come over and beat me up, and I didn't understand why, because we hadn't talked in a long time. And
What did she exactly say to you, if you remember?
She kept calling me a and I was like, okay, if I am, that's no reason to come and beat me up. So.
Well, what did she say about beating you up?
She just kept saying, you're going down, basically. She's like, we're coming over, we're gonna beat you up.
Did she say anything about the phone call that you had placed to the ex-boyfriend's mother?
No,
Yes
she
or
didn't.
no?
She handed
No.
the phone to him.
To the ex-boyfriend?
Yes, and he kept saying, never call my house, never call any of my friends ever again.
Okay, so they were together. Three of them were together.
Yes.
All right, what's the next thing that happened?
They call me, telling me they want to meet me at the store across the street from my house, because I kept telling them not to come to my home. And they called me from
What time was this?
I'd say around 9 o'clock.
What time was the first telephone call to your house?
Between 8:30 and 8:45.
And then they called back at 9 o'clock?
Yeah.
Who did you speak to when they called back at 9 o'clock?
Darcy.
What did she say to you?
She said for me not to be such a coward and to show up at Albertsons, that they were going to beat me up. And I was like, whatever, basically just get them off the phone. So then they hung up on me, and about 5 minutes later, they called me from Albertsons, the store across the street from my house, and they said they were there waiting for me, and I was like, I'm not going, I'm not showing up, I don't know what you were thinking. And they hung up before I could even say anything else. And next thing I know, I hear them squealing up my driveway. It was like, by that time it was around 9:15, 9:30.
Now, do you live in a private house, or?
They're condominiums, and they have a gated front door to all of our little complex. But at the time, the lock was broken on the gate.
In the apartment complex where you live, is there a restaurant?
No.
Is there a movie theater?
No, nothing.
Is it a shopping mall?
No.
So there was no other reason for them to be there
Exactly.
but to see either you or someone else at the complex?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know anyone else who lives in her apartment complex?
Just them, the Halseys.
Do you know anyone else who lives in the apartment complex?
No, just them.
So it's a fair statement that the two of you drove there in order to see her.
She called us up there.
That's not what I asked you. It's a fair statement that you drove to her house to see her, right?
After she called me, yes, and told me to come up there.
I never invited them to my home.
Just a second. I'm going to say it one more time. It's a fair statement that you drove to her house to see her.
Yes,
Who was driving?
I am. I have my own truck.
How wonderful for you. Now, what happened when they got there?
When they got there, I had about 5 friends over at my house. So I told everyone to stay in the house, and my cousin Angelica follows me out there. And the gate was broken, and I saw Darcy and my ex-boyfriend stumbling towards the gate. Obviously, they were drunk.
Don't tell me what they obviously.
Okay, well, then they started stumbling towards the gate, and I was out there to meet them at the gate to tell them. I kept telling them, go home, this is not happening at my house, leave. I said it, I screamed it so many times. And then Darcy walks in the gate and pushes me really hard, and by the time I get up and see what was going on, she starts pounding on her in the face. And I turned to Darcy to try to pull her off of Angelica, and she turns towards me and starts pounding me in the face really bad. I have pictures of, she broke my nose, I have medical bills, I had to go to the hospital for 4
Can I see
hours.
them, please?
Yes. On my medical
Do you have a police report?
We did make one, but we couldn't, our original case was filed at the Vista Courthouse, and we couldn't get it to come here.
Has anyone from the police department spoken to you?
They called us like a couple months after all this happened. He called and said he'd get back to us later. And he never did.
Didn't. Must have lots of fights there. How old are you?
I'm 18.
How old are you?
18.
I want to explain several things to you before we go any further. It is possible that the police will file charges against you for assault. Did you sign a complaint?
Oh yeah, I pressed charges.
Who are you?
I'm her mother.
That's my mother.
Could you step up here for a second?
Yes.
Miss Halsey?
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Halsey, I don't want to proceed with this case. I mean, clearly I don't want to place these two women in jeopardy by having them testify if they're going to have a criminal proceeding brought against them. Do you intend to pursue this matter criminally?
I wanted to.
If that's the case, then I'm not going to proceed with this case. If you're prepared to let this matter be resolved civilly, I'm prepared to do that. Do you understand?
I understand, yes.
Well, you have to tell me what you want to do. You want to confer with your daughter?
Actually, we really need the medical bills covered. We would really like this just to be settled and done and over with.
So is what you're telling me that you do not intend to pursue the assault charge based upon the events of the 16th of January?
If it means that we can't go through with this, then we won't.
All right. Now, you have to understand that the police are not necessarily bound by their statement that they don't wish to press charges. And the police could still arrest you. You understand that?
Okay.
And that any testimony that you give here today could be used at a trial against you. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, do you want to proceed with this today?
Yeah, we'll go on.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you not following what I'm saying? You're 18 years old. Did you graduate from high school?
Not yet. I'm still in school, actually.
Well, I would suggest that you stay in school for a little longer.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amy Halsey says her former friends Darcy O'Neill and Jessica Clark came to her home and attacked her. Amy says they broke her nose and gave her a concussion.
Okay. You can continue.
She started hitting me, and then I fell to the ground. She was kicking me in the ribs, pounding my head into
That's Darcy.
Yes, Darcy was pounding my head into the wall by holding my hair. And then I got my footing, and I noticed she started to pound on Angelica's face again, and she was hitting her really hard, so I tried pulling her off again, and my ex-boyfriend was holding me back, and while Darcy was hitting me, he was holding her back from helping. And then I see Jessica walking in towards the gate, so I shoved her towards the truck so she'd get back in, because she was also stumbling. So I'm like, you need to stay out of this. This has nothing to do with you. So she didn't get back in the truck. She just started pounding on the side of my head, and she tripped me, and I fell into a bush, and I got up and just started running. I just ran all the way around my complex to my back door, and I was screaming for someone to call 911, and by the time I got back into my house, Angelica had ran inside and started calling the cops.
Did you see either of the two of them after you ran back into the house?
Well, I had stopped when I was about to turn the corner, and I saw Jessica just laughing and turning around, walking back to the truck.
All right, Darcy, why don't you tell me your version of the events of the 16th?
Okay, on January 16th, we were on our way over to our friend's house, and we stopped to get something to drink. Amy was behind the counter when we got in there, and she was talking to Shane about getting some of her personal items back from him. He told her to leave him alone, whatever. We started walking out the door. She went back to her behind the counter, yelled some words at her, pretty much.
Thank you.
And then we left there. A little while later, we got phone calls from her and her friends harassing us.
That's not true. I never called.
I don't want you to speak. Darcy, before you go any further, are you going to try to tell me that neither you, Jessica, or the ex-boyfriend knew that she worked at that Taco Bell?
We knew she worked there.
That's all I... Just a second. That's all I wanted to know. So you knew she worked there?
Yes.
Keep going.
After that, we got phone calls throughout the day, them harassing us, telling them that they wanted us to come, you know.
Who's them?
Her and her friends from Wisconsin, all of them. They were yelling on our phones with death threats, them harassing us on the phone.
Not true.
Shh. Did you hear what I said? Jessica, after the incident at Taco Bell, where did you go?
We went to our friend's house that lives...
Who was there?
Me, myself, Darcy, my boyfriend, and my friend that we went to the house.
Your boyfriend's name is Shane, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When did Shane's mother tell him that this young lady had called the house?
I have no idea. I had no...
When did Shane tell you?
He didn't tell me. It's not my business. I didn't know.
You didn't know what?
I didn't know that she had called his mom. I really didn't even...
Did you see his mother after this incident?
No.
You've never seen his mother after this incident?
I've seen her after this incident,
That's what I wanted to know.
Thought
you've seen his mother after the incident, is that right?
Months after.
Don't play with me.
Well, yes,
Don't listen to me. Don't play with me. Because it's very easy. I can call her on the phone. Do you understand?
That's fine. I have...
When you saw his mother afterwards, did she tell you that Amy had called her on the 16th?
No, she did not.
Did she ever tell you that Amy had called her on the 16th?
No, she did not.
Did your boyfriend, Shane, ever tell you that Amy had called her on the 16th?
No, he did not.
And you spoke to his mother, is that
Yes.
right? Oh, okay. Give me his mother's name and phone number.
Linda is her name. I don't know her last name or her phone number. I don't call her. It's
What's
my
her phone-
boyfriend.
what's
I don't
her
have
phone
any.
number?
It's in my cell phone. Oh, I don't have my purse.
Her last name is...
You have her cell phone number?
Yes, but it's in my purse.
Go get it. Now, you would say that that would be a very important piece of information, wouldn't you? If she had I'm speaking.
I'm sorry.
If she had called your boyfriend's mother that day and said, listen, please have them leave me alone, that would have been important, right?
Excuse me, can I
asked you a question. Would that be important to me in demonstrating that all she wanted you to do was leave her alone?
If I had been calling her.
Listen to me. If she had called your boyfriend's mother and said, please have Shane and his friends leave me alone, I don't want any trouble, that would be an important thing, don't you think? Important piece of information for me. And I assume that you support Miss Darcy's statements that she called you and threatened you all day. So it would be important if, after you were where you knew she worked, if she picked up the phone and called your boyfriend's mother and said, please have them leave me alone. I mean, are you not following what I'm saying? You're 18 years old. Did you graduate from high school?
Not yet. I'm still in school, actually.
Well, I would suggest that you stay in school for a little longer.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amy Halsey claims former friends Darcy O'Neill and Jessica Clark owe for an assault. Amy claims the young women came to her home and attacked her.
Let me tell you about liars. Shh. I hate liars. And I hate liars who swear to tell the truth and then lie. Because one of the things that I'm really good at is ferreting out the truth. So, Miss Jessica and Miss Darcy, let me tell you what Miss told me, because she was totally unaware of why I was calling her. She told me she absolutely spoke with Amy and her mother on the 16th of January, that Amy called her hysterical because she said that her son and the two of you had gone into Taco Bell and reduced her to tears. And that she was asking, she and her mother were asking Shane's mother to please prevail upon her son and you to leave her alone. Does that come as a surprise to you?
To me, yeah.
Oh, really? Then Shane's mother is a liar? Is that what you're telling me? Because Shane's mother said that she finally got to talk to you, Darcy, that evening. To you. To you. Missy. And to her son. And that to best of her recollection, she managed to reach her son on your cell phone. Miss Jessica?
She talked to him.
I'm speaking. I suckered you into this long before I spoke to his mother. You are two big, lying bullies. And you went over to her house and you beat her up. And I don't believe a word that you say in your answer here, which is, she threatened us. She demanded that we come to her house. We drove to her house. She instigated the fight. No, no, no. You were annoyed, the two of you, because she and her mother had called Shane's mother and asked for her help. His mother said, what I wanted to do was to get Shane's side of the story. Well, unfortunately, she got Shane's side of the story, which she believes.
Excuse me?
I'm speaking.
I'm sorry.
You are dishonest and dumb and bullies. And you're going to pay for all of her medical bills and all of her pain and suffering, because all you have to do is lie to me once, which you did. And I don't have to hear another word out of your lying mouths. You're bullies. I don't know what's going to become of you. All I can suggest is that you stay in school, because you don't know how to dress when you come to court. So suggests to me that you have no sense of decorum. You are a liar, which suggests to me that you have to go back to moral school. You're hanging around with her, who's just a big bully and throws her weight around, clearly, in attacking her.
You don't even...
What? Don't go there. Your nose was broken?
Yes. Concussion, bruised ribs.
What I don't understand is, quite frankly, how the police could not pursue this matter.
That's what I don't understand.
And at least give both of these girls a record for assault. They may not go to jail.
That's what I want.
But it's outrageous to me that with just one phone call that I was able to make today, that the police department chose to believe this cock and bull story that these two girls told them. It's an outrage to me.
Thank you.
What do you do, Darcy?
What do I do?
For a living.
I'm an assistant manager at the Ranch Deli.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all. Out.
Thank you. Matter of Stevenson versus Conti. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Miss Stevenson, this is your son. Your son's name is Joseph?
Yes.
Miss Conti, this is your son, and his name is Joey.
Yes, Your Honor.
And your son, Joey, along with several friends, these two people among them?
They were there with us.
Yeah.
They egged Mrs. Stevenson's house and car. Ms. Stevenson says that in addition to doing damage to her home and her car, when you were advised about it, you said that you would take care of whatever damage was caused by your son and his friends, and then didn't do it. So she's suing you for the cost of cleaning up the house and car. Is that right?
3 cars.
3 cars.
And a garage.
And I assume you have photographs of the damage?
Yes, I do, and I also have a videotape, too, that shows everything.
Of what?
Of the defendant and his friends egging the house.
Can I see the tape
Sure you
before
can.
we even start? You know, picture's worth 1,000 words. Let's take a look. Mr. Conti, young Mr. Conti over here, he doesn't deny that he was there.
No.
And even threw an egg or two. Is that right, Mr. Conti?
Yes, Your Honor, I threw one, but it hit my own car, actually.
Well, that was...
It was so long ago, I just know it didn't hit anything.
Joey, say nothing else.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
It's on 3 times. That's the first card. This is the second one. It does a repeat and then it has highlights. The first car is his 2 witnesses were in that car.
Why did you become involved in this vandalism, Joey?
Well, it was an ongoing game between me and Joe, I guess, because he had done this to our house before in the past, and also like on Halloween. I've seen him egg people before out of his car.
When was that?
About a couple months before.
Now, when Joseph egged your house, did you report it to the police?
No. We don't have video cameras, and we didn't have proof. We don't have...
What do you mean? Just a second. If you didn't have proof, then how do you know he did it?
Because I came outside while they were doing it, and I saw him drive up the street, and my father followed him.
Just a second. That's proof.
Your Honor,
You don't need a video camera.
Your Honor, we just went out, we hosed our garage, we hosed the car, everything came off, we chalked it up to harmless pranks.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't make a big issue out of it.
Fine. You didn't see him throw an egg at your house, did you?
That's correct.
Right. And since I don't believe him, that he threw one egg that came back and hit him in the face, I don't believe him either.
I threw it over, I was driving, and I just threw it like this, and I couldn't even make it to the house. It was pretty far away.
I don't care.
Okay.
If you tell the truth all the time, you don't have to have a good memory.
I'm just
Did anybody ever say that to you?
Yes.
Do you understand what it means?
Yes.
Good. So you and your friends are sitting around whose house when you decide to go on this egg spree?
My friend Darren's house.
Where is Darren?
He lives just up the street from
Not
Joe.
one of these 2 people.
No, he's not here. He didn't come today because...
I don't care why he didn't come. He didn't come today because he was pregnant. I don't care.
Okay.
You are sitting around Darren's house. How many people are sitting around Darren's house?
There is about 6 of us.
And how many of you have cars?
2 of us.
And how many cars were loaded up to go over to his house?
2. And we only had 4 eggs with us.
I don't believe you!
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have photographs of the house?
I have it of the cars in the garage.
I'll take a look at those.
And I have estimates.
No, I just want to look at the photographs.
Your Honor, we have witnesses here also who can attest
Which
to
witnesses?
the 4 eggs.
These 2 idiots?
The gentleman here.
These 2 idiots? I'm not interested to hear what they have to say yet. Would you ask her to show me where on this car she's pointing to as a damage? I mean, I'm looking at 2 spots on your garage.
You see the egg on the garage,
Here
yes.
and here.
Now, The black car with the spots on it, that's the rear end of the Yukon. The other cars were repaired. I'm just showing you the cars repaired.
I don't see $2,000 worth of damage, madam. I'm just telling you.
Oh, well,
I'm telling you, okay. I don't see $2,000 worth of damage. Listen to me carefully. Okay. I don't see $2,000 worth of damage. I'm not excusing him. I'm not finished with him yet, as a matter of fact. But I'm not seeing $2,000 worth of damage. Now, let's get back to you. Put your papers down.
Sorry.
What you are complaining about, and I assume your mother is complaining about, is why you are being singled out to pay for this damage rather than going after all of the other boys.
Exactly.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, I'm going to explain that to you.
Okay.
When you commit a crime, you're not entitled to be treated like everybody else who commits the same crime. Let me give you an example. I'm going to go back into my history. And Officer Petrie Hawkins Bird here is going to affirm what I've said because I know he's a truthful person. When I was a judge in the family court and I would get teenagers who committed crimes, much more serious ones than this, although this is annoying, and very often there would be a group of boys who would commit a robbery. And because of the way the law is written, sometimes the cases were assigned to a different judge. One judge would try one of the boys, another judge would try the second boy, another judge would try the first boy. And every time one of the boys got me, they would say, "That's not fair. I want somebody else. I want his judge."
Understand.
And I would say, "You got the luck of the draw. You got me. It doesn't have to be equal. Everybody is equal in the eyes of the law. But that doesn't mean that you have to be treated equally."
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She is very, very Sue happy.
Maybe she came after you because you did something wrong.
Yeah, and we did do something. Sorry.
And later today.
Her father didn't approve of you.
Yeah.
Like what?
Got arrested.
For what?
Selling weed.
Selling weed?
Yeah.
You mean selling drugs?
That's right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deneen Stevenson says 18-year-old Joey Conti egged her house and car. Joey says he wasn't the only one.
She picked you.
Okay.
And she picked you maybe because she doesn't like the color of your eyes. Quiet. I'm making a point here. She picked you. She says, "I don't want to have to go out and hunt down his mother and his mother and his mother and go to court 4 different times. I want you to pay for all the damage that was caused to my house."
I think one of the reasons she picked me, Your Honor, is because she is very, very Sue happy. And we have evidence of her and her past, even from her own family members that have moved away just to get away from her. And she's been involved with some of the other kids before, so I think she came after me because I don't really know her.
Maybe she came after you because you did something wrong.
Yeah, and we did do something. Sorry, we did do something wrong, and
What difference does it?
We admit it.
What do you want?
Your Honor, he admitted it from the very start when the police called him.
Then why did you go and get this whole list of other people she sued?
Because the damage does not warrant.
I don't care about that, sir. I don't care if she sued everybody from A to M in the phone book. Do you understand? That's her prerogative. And she wouldn't have sued you if you didn't do something wrong.
Yes, sir.
You want to be treated like these boys. According to you, she accepted their apology and they...
No.
No, just a second. According to you, and I'm going to read what you said in your answer. She said...
Your Honor, she asked...
I'm speaking. She even knows the driver of the second car whose apologies she accepted.
His parents came to my house.
Just a second.
Okay.
Do I look like I need your help?
No.
She can accept everybody's apology but yours. Maybe she doesn't like people with hazel eyes.
We tried to apologize, Your Honor, and she said my mom went to go apologize, and we got the whole team ready to go apologize, and I was ready, and I wrote a letter and everything to go apologize to her. And the day we were going to go apologize, my mother called her and she said, "Oh, that won't be necessary. We're going to sue you now." So this is what happened.
Just a second. How much after this incident were you going to apologize?
Oh, within the week. Within the week.
Just a second. What about the next day?
Your Honor, I didn't
I'm
find...
speaking. Not you. Him.
That-
Why didn't you go the next day?
Because we just didn't.
What do you mean, because you just didn't?
We had to get everyone together.
What do you mean, because you just didn't?
Because I wanted to get everybody together. Because I was basically the only one that admitted to doing this.
Just a minute. When did you contact the police?
The very day, that same day.
When did the police contact you?
A couple weeks after.
Not before?
No.
Did you tell him that you had contacted the police?
Yes, I confronted him in school.
When?
Like, after I realized it was his car when we watched the tape at night, so the following school day.
Step up here. You're Joseph.
Yes.
You told him the following day that you had contacted the police, or the following school day?
Yes, the following school day.
And then you just wanted to get everybody together before you went to apologize. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
But he had already told you that he had contacted the police.
Yes.
Right. You get it.
And that day I got everybody together. And we were my mom called, and we were ready to go apologize. And she
Would you have
wouldn't
been
see
ready
us.
to go over and apologize if they hadn't called the police?
Yes. I would have apologized.
What catharsis did you have between the time that you egged his property and the time that you were prepared to apologize?
After he came up to me at school.
And told you that the police had been called?
He didn't tell me the police had been called that. No, he didn't tell me the police had been
What
called.
did he say?
He just said, he came up to me with a bunch of his friends, like they were trying to, they came up to me, like, aggressively. And they were like, well, did you do this? And I'm like, yes. And then that's all. They never said the police had been called. They just walked away after that.
Well, why would you want to apologize after that, Joey?
Because they were so angry about it.
You owe for the damage to their property. It's not $2,000. Get over it. It's not going to happen. Do I make myself clear?
I have my estimates right here.
I
for
don't
the
care.
cars
You
that
can
were
take the
repaired.
estimates and wallpaper with them. I see what your pictures show.
No, those after.
Then
after it's painted.
that is your problem. I already told you that you can take the estimates and you can wallpaper your bathroom with them. I've looked at the photographs and I don't see $2,000 worth of damage. You're not going to retire on this incident. It's ridiculous because you're a smart lady.
I don't need to
You're not,
retire on
I'm
it.
speaking. What he did was bad enough. When you exaggerate it and don't tell the truth, you're no better off than he is.
I'm not exaggerating.
You are exaggerating, madam, because anybody who calls the police because they have $2,000 worth of damage to their house and they call the police the same day, take pictures. They take pictures if they intend to pursue it, because if the police came, I'm speaking.
Okay.
And if the police came and took pictures, then you would have them. And if the police didn't take pictures, then you make sure that you have them in order to preserve whatever rights you want to have in a lawsuit. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
My son is never out on Halloween because we're home as a family handing out candy.
I guess it's over now since they take things very, very serious.
Oh, through the school year, she was a troublemaking mom.
I had offered Mrs. Stevenson $500 to just forget the whole thing because she made my life a living hell.
Why am I upset? Because they're liars.
She refused it. She said she couldn't accept that. So I just told her, do what you have to do then.
The kids did the damage. They don't have to pay for it. But there'll be another time.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Forzetting versus Hannah. Step forward.
Construction worker Tony Forzetting is suing his son's ex-girlfriend, 18-year-old food server Nikki Hanna, for unpaid rent and utility bills. Tony says when Nikki's father kicked her out, he let her move in.
Is this your son?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this the one who was in jail?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Forzetting, this young lady was this young man's girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And how old are you?
18.
And for some bizarre reason, you made the foolish error of allowing her to move into your house because she and your son were boyfriend and girlfriend, right?
Correct.
And at this point, you say she owes you for rent and other expenses that she was supposed to pay for the 4 months that she was living with you. That's
Yes,
what the
ma'am.
case is about. How old are you?
20.
And your name?
Stephen Forzetting.
Stephen, how old was Miss Hannah when you met her?
16.
And how old was she when she moved into your house?
18.
Why?
Because her and her dad got into it and he threw her out.
What?
Because her and her father got into it and he threw her out.
Got into it.
Yeah,
What did they get into it about?
about me.
Her father didn't approve of you?
Yeah.
Did he have reason not to approve of you?
Yeah, because I was not being that great.
Like what?
I got arrested.
For what?
Selling weed.
What?
Selling weed.
You mean selling drugs?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times were you arrested for selling drugs?
Just once.
So that's why her father didn't like you?
Yes, ma'am.
Sounds right to me.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was 2003, Christmas Eve. It was her birthday also. She got in a big fight with her dad. Her dad's thrown her out several times. I guess she didn't want to follow his rules. She was still going to school at the time. She was in her senior year. I have a daughter that's 17 at the time. I didn't want to see her on the streets.
Good. Sounds very nice. And she was going to school. Yes. She a full-time student in high school?
Yes, she was.
How did you expect her to pay you rent?
Well, I didn't ask her to pay me rent right away, Your Honor, when she first moved in. I told her when she got in, got a part-time job. Those would be the rules in my house to stay in school.
Did she get a part-time job?
She did, yeah.
When?
2 weeks down the road. I would say within a month and a half.
So sometime in February?
Yes, Your Honor.
So in February, did you ask her for any money?
I said, Nikki, you got a job. We had an agreement when you moved in. I'm not pressuring you. She indicated to me that she wasn't making that much. I said, that's fine. It's only a part-time job. Just give us what you can until you can get caught up or you know, down the road. And...
So, did she ever give you any money?
No, Your Honor.
So what are you suing her now for?
Well, come April 24th, we had the conversation again about paying rent. This time we approached it with an agreement. We had words.
At this time, was your son in the house?
No, he was not.
He was in jail?
Yes, he was.
So after your son was taken to jail, that's when you went and approached her about signing an agreement?
No, the agreement was signed several months down the road.
Oh, show it to me.
I have the agreement right here.
Can I see it,
It wasn't written until the 24th, which is when I moved out.
I'm talking about, sir, I'm not talking about the agreement that you wanted her to sign in April. You said that she signed one before?
No, she did not. It was all verbal before, Your Honor.
Verbal, you had no contract with us,
No
sir.
contract, all
no
verbal.
contract. You didn't have a verbal contract with us, sir. Your agreement was when you get a job, you'll start paying us something. And then when she got a job, a couple of months later, you said take care of your own bills first and then pay us what you can. Well, she couldn't pay anything. That's not a contract. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good. Now, you took her in, and you took her in because her father threw her out because of your son. When she came into your house, did they share a room?
Sure did, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm. Don't open your house to strangers, sir. It's a bad idea. Your case...
This is case number 126 on the calendar in the matter of Rubel versus Ober.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Miss Rubel, Miss Ober is your ex-boyfriend's mother.
Yes.
And there came a time in 2006, I believe, that you had difficulty at home.
Yes.
And you went to live with Miss Ober.
Yes, Your Honor.
And during that time, you allowed Miss Ober to open up utility accounts in your name.
It was actually when I was at school at Eastern Kentucky University when I allowed her to open gas and electric in my name.
When you were at school, you were not living with her?
No.
So you had already spent time in her house?
Yes.
So you had spent about a year in her house?
No, it was about 3 months.
That's not true.
How long was it?
She moved in February of 2006. Remainder of her senior year of high school, stayed the whole summer at my house.
Okay.
Also went to EKU, and I picked her up every weekend, every Friday.
But it was while you were at school that she opened the accounts with your permission in your name. Put that folder down, please. And it is your claim that two things. A, that she didn't pay those bills. And second, that she also opened up a cable account using your name, and that you did not give her permission to open.
No, I did not.
And that there is an outstanding bill on that. You
Yes.
wanted to take care of all the bills.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that's not true. Again, that's not true.
Just a second. Ms. Ober says, well, she had your permission to open the account. She didn't think that it was a big deal to open up the cable account, and she's counterclaiming because she says you should pay her for all the money she expended while you were living with her on you. So, Ms. Ober, I'm going to deal with that first. You had no contract with Miss Rubel when she moved in that she was going to compensate you for any money that you gave her. There's no indication in your counterclaim. So in order to have a contract, you have to have an agreement. And you had no agreement with her.
We had a verbal agreement.
No, you didn't. That's absolutely not true. If you had a verbal agreement, you would have said so in your answer. And you would have said so in your counterclaim, that you had an agreement that when she graduated from college or whatever, she was going to pay you back for all the money you laid out for her. You don't mention that at all. You want me to read you what you say?
No. At the end of it, I said she agreed to pay back in payment. I do believe, I thought.
you say, the plaintiff stayed in my home from February 2006 until February of 07. That is not true. That is not true.
She was away at college for 3 months and then moved back into my home. I moved her to college and moved her back home from college to my home.
Was she living with you continuously from February 2006 until February 2007?
No, ma'am.
Okay. She moved into your home because she was staying with her aunt and they had a big fight. Even though Tiffany and her aunt later made up, Tiffany begged and pleaded for me to let her stay with me. I took her to and from school. I moved her down to Kentucky to go to college. I gave her lunch money, paid for her prom dress. Even though my son was a freshman, it was her senior prom. I paid for basically everything. So there was no agreement, because if there was an agreement, you had plenty of paper there to say there was an agreement. So you can't make an agreement where there was none. Now, you want to tell me why you opened up utility accounts in her name?
I have the letter that she took to the CG&E company where she opened it up from the landlord.
Why? Why didn't you open it up?
Because I had outstanding bills that couldn't be paid at that point in time. I didn't have the money. I have 3 children and was getting no child support. My ex-boyfriend and I were arguing. It was a bad environment for her, myself, and my children.
Yes.
We had to get out. There was no ifs, ands, or buts. Had to get out.
Well, just tell me what she said to you and what you said to her.
I got into an argument with my ex-boyfriend. I was crying. There was chaos. The house was tore up from fighting and carrying on, and she came to me crying and said that we could move out of here. I said, I can't get the electric in my name or the cable because I have an outstanding bill. I was working on paying them. I have paid them off. Everything is in my name.
Well, what about the bills that she's getting now, Miss Ober?
Because she agreed to pay them when we moved out.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't, Miss Ober. I don't even have to ask her that. She said, I'll help you out. If you can't put them in your name, put them in my name.
That's also not true. I didn't offer. She asked me.
That's not true.
Why didn't you pay the bills?
Because I was paying all the bills. I paid the rent, I paid the food, I paid for her clothes, I paid for her to go to a Bengals-Steelers game, I paid for everything under the sun for her. And when I couldn't pay for her to do the things that she wanted to do, go shopping and do all the other things,
well, just
then she moved out.
Miss Ober, when she was living with you, where was she working?
At Photolab at Kroger's, and then she got a job at a restaurant.
When she was living with you, she was working at Photolab?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
No, actually it's not. I was working in the Village of Addison in the clerk's office.
I didn't understand a word you just said.
In the Village of Addison for the clerk.
And what were you doing with the money that you were earning?
I paid for a lot of prom, too.
You paid for a lot of prom. What else did you pay for?
I paid for lunch sometimes, and that's probably about it.
And what about the ex-boyfriend? What does he do?
He's in high school.
16 years old.
Okay. Very good. Can I see the bills, please?
Yes.
And when you moved in with Miss Ober, you were in high school?
Yes. Here's everything.
I would like to also say something. Her aunt, when she moved out of her house, received child support from her mother and father for her while she lived in my home.
You should have sued her aunt.
And Tiffany is still on a Medicaid card through Ohio and is not living in Ohio. She lives in Indiana. She works at the BP in Indiana.
Miss Ober, first of all, the second part was vicious. First part of what you just told me was really your fault. If she was living with you and you were supporting her and somebody else was getting support for her from her parents, you should have marched right into family court and said the support should come to me, not to somebody else.
Well, I'm not going to fight a year and a half to get money that is not going to come to me anyway.
But this money is money that you owe. You owe money for the utilities.
No, she was living in my home. She agreed to pay them.
I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe for a second that she agreed to pay them. If she agreed to pay them, she wouldn't have let them build up like this.
It was 2 months of service.
Right. I know that you're accustomed to not paying your bills, but somebody who's just starting out in life is not accustomed to not paying their bills. You know you didn't pay your bills. That's why you couldn't put the utilities on in your name.
Because I had an ex-boyfriend who wouldn't let me get ahead.
Listen to me. It's always somebody else's fault. Is that what you're saying to me?
No, I'm not.
It's the ex-boyfriend's fault. It's her fault. It's the aunt's fault.
No, I tried to contact her aunt to take her back home. She wouldn't talk to me.
It's always somebody else's fault. Is that what you're telling me?
No.
You're a victim. Well, you'll always be a victim.
I'm a victim of a 19-year-old.
You'll always be a victim. The answer is you didn't pay your bills. Not that your ex-boyfriend didn't let you get ahead. If you're a big enough girl to make 3 children, that's what you have, right? Mm-hmm. Then you're big enough to get away from an ex-boyfriend who wouldn't let you get ahead. Not soon enough to pay your bills.
You know, I took her in the kindness of my heart. You know, and then after she moved out, her other aunt said to me, Tiffany goes wherever Tiffany's going to reap the benefit.
So whose fault was that?
I guess mine, and it'll never happen again.
Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $886. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She was 18 years old, and I helped her, and she agreed to pay the bills and didn't.
I got the money back that I deserved.
She was out on the street basically with nowhere to live because her aunt chose not to let her come back home.
I did move back home actually in June of 2006, and I stayed there until I went to college.
Never again will I live.
Double kill. Triple kill.